Hey everyone, thanks so much for tuning in. Be sure to hit the like and the share button. Make sure you're subscribed. If you're on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to Crown ORL's page, as we'll be able to keep you updated with all of the latest lives that we put out and any content, any videos like that. If you're on Facebook, make sure you hit the heart. Make sure you hit the like. Make sure you're saying what's up. Hey everyone, thanks so much for tuning in. Be sure to hit the like and the share button. Make sure you're subscribed. If you're on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to out and any content, any videos like that. If you're on Facebook, make sure you hit the heart. Make sure you hit the like. Make sure you're saying what's up. Hey everyone, thanks so much. If you're on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Out and any content, any videos like that. If you're on Facebook, make sure you hit the heart. Make sure you hit the like. Make sure you're saying what's up. Hey everyone, thanks so much. If you're on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to okay. Round two, guys. Hopefully we got it taken care of. We apologize for the technical difficulties, but this is technology. These things tend to happen, but thank you so much for tuning in. If you're on YouTube, like I said before, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube page. Also, if you're on Facebook, go ahead and wave at me. Let me know you're on here. Give us a shout out on the timeline. Thank you so much for taking time out of your quarantine Thursday. Okay. To be with us. Round two, guys. There it is again. Give us 1 second, guys. We apologize. Timeline. Thank you so much for taking time out of your quarantine Thursday. Okay. Third time is always a charm. We'll give it a second to see if it comes back to us. Boom. Third time is a charm, guys. Thank you so much for being patient, and thank you so much for tuning in. Hello, Crown family. Thanks so much for being on. I see everybody logged in from different outlets on
Third
YouTube.
time is always a charm. We'll give it a second to see if it comes back to us.
We don't know what's going on, but we promise you this content that we're going to put out today will go out today. This is actually confirmation. This lets me know that there's somebody that actually needs to hear this information. But once again, guys, thank you so much for being on here with us towards the back end. Usually what we do is we kind of go back and forth and we take
we don't know what's going on, but we promise you this content that we're going to put out today will go out.
Okay, so just want to make sure that that's good. I don't know if there's an echo. Are you guys hearing an echo? Okay, so there's not an echo. I just need a thumbs up, not an echo. Okay, you hear me clear? All right, perfect. All right, so today we actually want to just talk, because during these times, as you know, just want to have a conversation about gifts. Want to have a conversation about talent. We'll see how much we can get covered today. We most likely will do a second portion, and we'll give you some information towards the back end. But what I want to talk about is we want to talk about pivoting in a pandemic and really honing in on our gifts, because during this time, especially with the work stoppage, a lot of people are not working. Some people are furloughed, some people are laid off, and others are just working from home, really uncertain with what the next step is going to be. And during times like this, people tend to take inventory, or they should, of, what's the game plan? What's the game plan of what's next, or what's to come, or what's the strategy, worst case scenario, different types of things like that. And so I think this conversation is extremely important about understanding or learning how to pivot and maximizing on or capitalizing on your gift during this time. And so if you have any questions about gifts, talents, abilities, how to apply it, or anything like that, make sure towards the back end when we open it up for questions that you go ahead and put that in the comment line, and we'll be able to pull your questions into the conversation as well. And so what I want to do is I want to give you guys a foundation. I want to lay a foundation for you guys about gifts, about talent. But first, let's start on the subject of pivoting. Let's start on the subject of pivoting. When we're talking about pivoting, you're talking about a turn or to rotate. And when we're saying pivoting in a pandemic, it's saying that this is the time where we should be looking to make a turn or looking to rotate in certain areas, in certain things in our life. And so when situations like this arrive and you're talking about turning, it's very important to understand there's really two things that we have to focus on. The first thing is adopting or adapting. When I'm referencing pivoting, I'm not talking about adopting. When you adopt something, you accept it. You accept it. And unfortunately, with everything going on, there's some people that will accept this and it will paralyze them. It will shock them. They'll just accept this as the reality. Or there's another group. I believe that those of you that's on this live with me tonight, you're in the second group, which is the group that is adapting to this, which means you're making adjustments in order to continue functioning. So it's very important that in this time that you don't adopt this situation, you don't adopt this crisis as permanent as your reality, but you're making adjustments, you're adapting to it. And that's the whole purpose of pivoting. Pivoting means you're adapting to what's going on and you're starting to make adjustments, regardless of where you are in the spectrum, whether you were laid off, whether you're furloughed, whether you're working from home. All of us have some areas in our lives that we could be pivoting and we could be adapting from to make sure that when, not if, when we come out of this, we are in a much better position and we're in a much better place. Now, one thing we have to understand that change is inevitable. Whether you and I like it or not, change is inevitable. And what happens is when a crisis arises, change rides on the wings of crisis. Crisis brings change. Everything won't be the same. Things are already changed, and some things will go back to being normal. Some things won't go back to being normal. We learned from a crisis that the virtual space is a space that, as we move forward as a society, will continue to be expanded upon. So that's a change that we have to get used to, and we have to begin to adapt for that change. And so that's very important to understand that in the virtual space, if you're not familiar with it, if you've never gone in that direction, if you've never pivoted in that space, the virtual space may be one of the first places that you may also want to look at when it comes to pivoting in this pandemic. The other thing is when that happens, when change comes, you have to be willing to adapt. When change comes, you have to be willing to be flexible. So when change comes, you could either be flexible and you can approach the change with flexibility, or you can experience, or you can approach the change with firmness. And I want to encourage you, adapt, don't adopt, be flexible, don't be firm, and most important, pivot. Now, the reason I'm speaking to you with confidence is because I believe that you and I have everything we need already on the inside of us to be successful and to live a life of significance. I truly believe that God created every human being already built in with what they need to be successful. And so the problem is trapped inside most of us. And it's outside of the casualties, outside of the people that's affected economically. Whenever a change comes, it's an opportunity. The reason it's an opportunity because it disrupts our normal way of life. A lot of people from this pandemic will discover what their passion is, will discover what they're really good at, will discover all of the things that they probably wanted to do but didn't have an opportunity or a chance to do, all because of this crisis. So this crisis, though it has the negative effects on us, it also comes with some positive effects as well, because it's given some people time to explore some passions, some things that they always wanted to do, but just didn't have the time to actually do it. And so the value of each human being is the gift that they were born to serve. Your value in life is the gift that you have from God. My value in life is the gift that you have. Now, one of the interesting thing is in there's a culture that crisis, the word crisis is not the way we define crisis in our culture. I think there's an Asian culture, probably the Japanese, that crisis to them means opportunity. And you have to adopt that mindset that with every crisis definitely comes that opportunity. Now, I want to show you something. In Proverbs chapters 18, verse 16, it says this: a man's gift makes room for him or her and brings him before great men. Notice it doesn't say a man's education. It doesn't say a man's network. It doesn't say a man's associations. It says a man's gift makes room for him and brings him before great men, which means that your gift is extremely important. In this next month, year, or in the next time to come, what will really set you apart is really your gift. What's going to set you head above shoulders above the other individuals around you in your industry, in your company, is really your gift. So what is your gift? If you're out there probably taking notes, I know some people might say, I'm just going to rewind it. That's cool. Either way. But if you're taking notes, here's what your gift is. Your gift is a talent and or ability. It's a talent and or ability. It's a gift. Sometimes you're so good at something, you discount it as just something that you just do. But that may be a gift that you may want to go back and look into. So a gift is a talent and or ability. The second thing is your gift is the grace to be creative in such a way that makes you unique. I'll say that again. Your gift is the grace to be creative in such a way that it makes you unique. One of the examples that I love using is frying chicken. Everybody fries chicken, but you fry it a certain way that is only exclusive to you. It's unique to you. The same goes with a gift, that just because someone else does it, but you do you in such a way that it makes you unique. That's a gift. And what we have to get back to is, regardless of who's already doing it, but they're not doing it like you're doing it. They're not you. God made only one version of you. So what if someone's already doing it? Or so what if it has already been done? There's a unique way. The unique way is what sets you apart. Now, if you're literally doing it identically to what they're doing, then you're copying it. But if you are doing it in a unique way that is unique to you, exclusive to you, then that's what sets you apart. And then lastly, your gift is the way you apply yourself to a situation for the purpose of correcting it or making it better. Your gift is the way you apply yourself to a situation for the purpose of correcting it or making it better. It could be a problem that you notice and you start applying yourself to that situation. And in the end, you make it better. That's a gift. Like, to be able to deal with certain people, that's a gift. To be able to deal with children, that's a gift. To be able to deal with people that are not easy to get along with, that's a gift. So keep that in mind. Now, our frustration oftentimes comes from having something. Like, most people that I run into and have a conversation, and I've been there myself, the frustration comes from when we know we have something, but we can't find it. We know deep down inside, I'm better than this. There's more to life than this, but we just can't find it. We can't locate it. And that's one frustration. Then there's another group that knows what they have, but they can't develop it for some reason. Like, I know I'm good at this, but I don't have any outlets. I don't have any training. I don't have any tutors, any mentors to help me be or help me develop it. And then there's a group that has it, that can develop it, but don't have anywhere to apply it. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And so one of the things, or two emotions that we have to confront. There's a few things though, but if you're going to pursue your gift, there's some there's some mindsets that you're going to have to adopt. The first mindset you're going to have to adopt is you have to remind yourself, you have to convince yourself, you have to stand on this one principle here. I am unique. You are unique. Think about it. There's no one with your fingerprints. There's no one with your retina scan. There's no one with your DNA. You are the only one that God created like you. You are the only one. Now, you have to accept that truth. You have to accept that revelation because you're so unique. It's in your best interest to start exploring that. Like, why would God create only one version of you? What is it inside of you that God deposited, that God packaged, that he saw fit that nobody else has this personality, nobody else reasons like you, nobody else is wired like you? Why did he make that way? Because God is confident enough to know that what he put inside of you is worth exploring. So you have to accept that mindset that you are unique and there's not another version like you. That's the first thing. So if you're going to come out of this, in this season that you're in, that we're in, you have to accept, like, I am unique. There's not another version like me. And then the second mindset that you have to adopt is, why not you? Like, why not you? Why can't change be ushered through you? Why can't the new idea come from you? Why can't the new book come from you? Why can't the business idea come from you? What makes others that have done it ahead of you so different? What makes those that are living the opulent or the affluent life, what make them so different than you? They have the same 24 hours as you do. And right now, at the present moment, a lot of people are in the same location. They're at home, which means you have control. If you're home, you have control when we come out of this, in what state you come out of. You could come out stronger. You could come out more fit. You have that power because the same 24 hours that the next person have, you have that. So now it's a matter of how you manage that and what you do with it. So, but after you adopt those mindsets, I'm unique. Why not me? You have to confront two things. You have to confront your fears and you have to confront your frustrations. There's a reason why you're frustrated. The Bible says fear is a spirit, and God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of love, peace, and a sound mind. So fear is a spirit. And the thing about fear that we have to understand is fear can only reign in our lives to the degree that we are ignorant. As long as we're ignorant in a specific area, fear will continue to reign in our lives. There's a lot of people that are afraid because of this crisis, because they don't know where the next meal is going to come from, where the next paycheck is going to come from. All of those things are legitimate. And as a result, it triggers fear in their lives. But if you know, or if someone, for example, has reserves or has a stash or a nest egg, they approach the fear differently. So fear reigns in ignorance. And so one of the best way to deal or to combat fear is to begin to educate yourself, is to begin to bring knowledge into the equation. And then the other thing is frustration. Frustration is an indication of this. Fear is rooted in ignorance. Frustration is rooted in inactivity or wrong activity. Whenever we engage in inactivity, eventually the end result will be frustration, because God created us to be, God created us to do. And when we're not doing and when we're not being, eventually frustration will settle in because the grace of God is on your life to do something and to become someone. So when that happens, or the wrong activity, when we take on identities, we take on workloads that are reserved for other people, frustration is right around the corner. So we have to confront our fears and we have to confront our frustration. So here's how we confront them. The opposite of fear, the opposite of frustration is faith and fulfillment. Faith and fulfillment. Faith is fueled by discovery of your purpose, and fulfillment is experienced by developing your potential. So we deal with the fear by pushing into faith. And as we start pushing into faith, we start pursuing God's purpose for our lives. And we deal with the frustration by developing our potential. When we develop our potential and we start being and doing what God created us to be and do, it starts bringing on fulfillment into our lives. And what happens is fulfillment is attached to our gifts. Like God gave you a gift that when you start working that gift, when you start applying that gift, you will experience fulfillment. There's certain people, they have a gift to give. When they start giving, they feel replenished. They feel fulfilled because they're operating in that gift. But the opposite happens when they're unable to give or they're unable to help. There's a sense of frustration that comes in. Why? Because they're not being who they were created to be. They're not fulfilled because they're not operating in that gift. And so your gift comes from God, which means it has no limits. It has no limits. Your gift comes from God. Its only limitation is based on the person who possesses it, which is you. So if you feel limited, it's not because God placed that limit on you. You have to ask yourself, did you accept the limitations of society, or did you accept the limitations that other people placed on you? You can do all things through Christ, which strengthens you. That's what the word says. You can do all things through Christ, which strengthen you. The thing is, do you really believe that? God has given you the ability. He has given you the ability. It's interesting. He says in Deuteronomy 28 that it is the Lord thy God that gives you the ability or the potential, the ability to obtain or get wealth. So God is saying, I'm not going to give you wealth. I'm going to give you the ability to get it, to obtain it. The question is, the way he does it is he gives us a gift. He gives us an ability. And when we work that ability creates opportunities. That ability puts us in certain circles, in certain rooms. And that ability creates a market for us. That's how it happens. Like you have something, you do something. And what you have to understand, it doesn't necessarily mean that what you do means that it's away from a job context. What you do may be on the job, but it's your gift operating in the job. Okay, we're going to get to that in a second. Now, God would never demand from you and I what he did not already deposit in us, because whatever God calls for, he provides for. Whatever God demands, he supplies. Whatever God assigns, he designs. Whatever God calls out, he puts in. That thought, that statement really settled me, because God is not in the business of playing games with people. God is not in the business of frustrating people. God is not in the business of showing people things and endeavors for the purpose of not allowing them or giving them the opportunity to obtain it. Now, what you have to conclude and what you have to reconcile within yourself is that vision, that dream, is it truly from God? That's what you have to do. Once you identify that dream, that vision is truly from God, then you can pursue it with confidence, because God would never show you something he didn't give you the ability to obtain. But you have to conclude, is it from God? Because there's some things that's not necessarily from God. They're just ambition. They're private ambitions. They're not real vision. It only benefits us. It doesn't benefit other people. It only feeds our ego. It only feeds our greed. It only feeds our pride. But a lot of times people like to mask their agendas, their ambition, their greed, their pride with something that looks like a vision, but it doesn't stand up the test of time. So just make sure, if it's a true vision from God, then rest assured that God gave you or has given you the ability to be able to obtain that. But you're going to have to step out by faith and start walking towards that vision. Now, I often say this, that what God will do is God will hide your problem. He'll hide your provision, rather, in a problem that only you can solve with your gift. I'll say it again. God usually hides your provision in a problem that only you have the ability or the gift to solve. When Egypt had the crisis, Joseph had the ability. They had a problem. He had the ability to interpret the dream. As a result of interpreting the dream, provision such as a promotion, becoming the prime minister of Egypt at the time, and being essentially pulled out of prison was attached to him solving the problem. So your provision is attached to purpose, and purpose is attached to your gift. So life will not reward you. Listen, hear me. Life will not reward you for your attendance. Just because you show up and wake up and say, hey, life, here I am, you're not going to be rewarded for your attendance. You're not going to be rewarded for your attendance because of life. Life is not going to reward you for that. Life will reward you for your participation. Life will reward you for your participation. And the way you participate in life is with your gift. The only way we know you are here is because you've served your gift. You've left humanity something that we can remember you by. You operated in such a way that we can't forget you. Even after you're gone, your impact is still in the earth. Your gift is how we know you were here. Unfortunately, tombstones are how we locate people. But if everyone was truly operating in their gift, you can't be forgotten in history. History can't forget you. So once again, life will not reward you for your attendance. Life will reward you for your participation. And the only way you participate is with your gift. Now, I'm about to open it up real quick, but let me just share this with you. There's a difference between your job, because when you start operating in your gift, you have now stepped into your work. You have stepped into your life's work. And what you have to understand is that your job sets limits and boxes you in, but your work has no boundaries and will set you free. Your job determines your salary, but your work or operating in your gift will determine your income. Your job can replace you, as we're seeing what's going on now. But in your work, they can't replace you. Your work replenishes you. Now, here's the good thing. If you lost your job, understand this, you didn't lose your gift. Your gift just goes to the next job with you. Your gift just goes to the next scenario with you. That job just ceased to access your gift. But there's somewhere else, there's something else waiting for your gift to be displayed again. Watch this. The purpose for your job is to prepare you for your work. So you weren't meant to be there long term anyway. You're really there to train. Your job is there to pay you to develop your gift. While you're on your job, they're paying you. And what I mean by paying you is they're allowing you to stay afloat. Because let's be honest, your job is not designed to retire you. Your job is not designed to make you wealthy. Your job is not designed to make you a millionaire. Now, you can become wealthy, affluent from managing your funds from your job. That's a management issue. But that's not how your job was designed. Your job is designed to keep you employed as long as possible. Now, that's okay, because if you know your gift, your job is paying you to develop that gift and refine that gift. And once you do that, you go to your job, watch this, to learn skills that will eventually be applied in your work. Now, your life's work could still be a job, but you'll know the difference. You're not there for the paycheck. You're there because of the fulfillment that comes from there. So I'm not saying that everyone that has a gift won't have a job. I'm just saying that once you discover your gift, it transforms your job from being just a job to work. And if that job ceases, your work will continue somewhere else, if that makes sense for you. So now let me give you guys some extra and then I'll open it up for some questions real quick. Every problem has the potential. Every problem has the potential, is a potential business. Every problem is a potential business. Every problem is a potential business, because the way you turn, see what happens, the way you turn your passion into a paycheck is by addressing the problem. Every problem is a potential business. The way you turn your passion, the thing that you love to do, into a paycheck is by addressing the problem in between. When you attach your passion to a problem with a plan and a process, very important. Got to have a plan, got to have a process. Because if you're just out there with your passion, with no plan and no process, that's just a hobby. That plan, that process is how you're going to manage the problem. So when you attach your passion to a plan and a process, what happens is this: you now have a business that has the potential to make a profit. What I'm passionate about, the way I yield the paycheck from it, is I identify the problem, I get a plan, I develop the process to manage the plan and to manage the problem. The end result is a profit. The end result is a business. So I want to open it up real quick. I want to take some questions. If you're on here and you have some questions, whether it be on Facebook or YouTube, go ahead and put it in the timeline and we'll pull some questions out. In this moment also, be sure to hit the like. If you're on Facebook, hit the share button. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe. But let your friends, let your family members know that, hey, if you got some questions about gifts, how to find your gift, how to discover your gifts, because I really believe at the end of the day, this crisis right now is going to be beneficial for those that can hone in and tune in and refine what they have in their hands. So that means you be able to obtain some stuff that when you go back, you're a much better employee that pushes you ahead for the promotion. Or when you go back, you're in a position that you're able to apply for a bigger firm. I don't know what it is, but I know this time is creating an opportunity for you to get ahead if you're focused and if you're diligent. So we'll go ahead and take some questions right now. Okay, I see some questions coming in. So team, you guys can put up. Okay, first question is, could your measure of faith be a gift? Yes, your faith could be a gift. According to the Bible, it's a spiritual gift. The Bible talks about how some have the gift of faith. There's some people who's able to withstand and able to trust God unwaveringly. And so your gift of faith is a gift. Faith is a gift. In addition to, we all have the measure, according to Romans, of faith. Faith could be an additional gift that you have. But keep in mind, that's a spiritual gift. That's a spiritual gift. Everyone, especially if you're a believer, you have two gifts. You have a natural ability, a natural talent that God has given you, and you have a spiritual gift that has been determined by the Holy Spirit. So just keep that in mind. So there's that focusing and developing your spiritual gift, But also there is a natural gift that you have, a natural ability, a natural talent. For example, if you grow up in a family and everyone can sing, that's a natural gift. That's a natural talent, and it passes down the family. Back in the days, families passed down the profession. They passed down the gift. Everybody was doctors. Everybody was lawyers. So keep that in mind. There's a natural gift, and there's also a spiritual gift if you are born again and you have the Holy Spirit. Good question, though. Let's take another one. Let's take another question. Okay. See one coming up here. All right. So I got some questions that was submitted here. One of the questions was, I read in the news that my industry, mainly speaking hospitality and tourism, likely won't scale back up to normal until 2021 because it will take a while for people to feel comfortable traveling and gathering in large crowds again. I love the industry, but should I consider changing my career? Well, whether you consider changing it or not, it's changing on its own. And so what I recommend is that you adapt. You make the necessary adjustments. You go ahead and if it's a passion of yours, God will create opportunities for you to eventually get back in that passion. But until that passion fully returns to the point where you're able to be sustained once again with a paycheck, I would say make an adjustment. Explore other industries that you can possibly transfer those skill sets into. That's one of the best things to do. If you can, look for an industry that you can transfer your skill sets. Hospitality is customer service. So you may have been in the customer service industry where you're dealing more so with travel. Maybe you translate that to business. Maybe you translate that to the tech space. I don't know. But look for somewhere first that you can immediately transfer the skill sets into. If that doesn't work, look for a place or somewhere or an industry that you can it's not hard for you to acquire, where you sense there is a sense of grace, you can acquire the skill sets. But keep in mind, it's temporary. You're just adapting until, once again, that which you're passionate in, you're able to provide it a paycheck in it once again. Great question. Should I leave the hospitality and tourism industry? As previously answered, if you need to make that adjustment, yes, I recommend you do that just for the sake of taking care of your responsibilities. But one thing we know about travel and tourism, people like, especially with everything going on right now, people don't like staying home. They're eventually going to find ways to get out. So I believe travel and tourism is going to surge again. But for now, you may have to pivot until you can come back to it. Question: how do you know what is your gift? Is there a few things you may be good at? Absolutely. And actually, for those that have, or those that are multifaceted, they're probably the most frustrated, because the thought is, where do I focus all of my energy in if I'm good at a lot of things? And what I recommend is that there is a master gift. There is a leading gift. There is a gift that you're able to do that will open the door for the other gifts. Okay. For example, I'll use myself as an example. I have a spiritual gift. I believe so. I have a spiritual gift to be able to teach. I love teaching. And another one of my gifts is I love solving complex problems, or I make complex things simple. I take complex things and break them down and make them simple. And so that really has served me really well in serving Crown Orlando. And so my primary gift is teaching. However, there's other things that I like to do. I like to write. I one day want to write a book. I want to do those things, but I have to pace myself to make sure that I set the tone with teaching through pastoring. And what happens is it creates a platform, it creates a credibility. And from that platform, from that credibility, I can introduce writing. I can introduce those different things. The same goes, or could be for you, is you have a gift where your gift may be singing, writing, whatever it is, but there's a primary gift that you should be focusing 100% of all of your time. You don't neglect the other ones, but you focus that first, because that initial gift opens the door for those other things as well. I'll use an athlete as an example. An athlete is gifted at playing basketball or football or sport. Yet there's other ventures that they now are into because they did their thing so well in their particular trade or industry or skill set that it now opens other opportunities for them. So an athlete's really good, wins championship, now has the opportunity to be in movies, that kind of stuff. So if you're good at multiple things, focus on one first, get it refined, and create a game plan to get the other ones developed as well. Great question. Do you think every gift a person has should be turned into a business? Not necessarily. There's certain gifts that are for the for serving your fellow man, that there may not be any paycheck associated with it. It just may be there is a fulfillment that is attached to it. Like I said before, it's when we apply that gift to a problem that it creates a business opportunity. So you just have to explore that gift to see, does this gift, is there a market for it? Is there a problem that gift solves? And if there is, then that could potentially be a business. Until there's an actual problem that gift can solve, it really could end up as a hobby. You know, some people like, let's say, making furniture. They have a real good gift of making furniture, but the problem is, one, they don't know anybody. Two, they're antisocial. Let's just say in that scenario. So if they want to turn that hobby or that gift of making furniture, they're going to have to refine their people skills. They're going to have to refine, expand their network. And if they're willing to do that, then they just turn that gift into a business. So every gift does have the potential to be a problem, but you're going to have to close the gap to do so. But, you know, I believe every gift can be translated into a business. Now, keep in mind this, businesses are different. Some businesses are product based. Some businesses are service based. So you just have to decide which one it is. If it's product based, then, you know, you make the product. If it's service based, then you provide the service. So great question. These days, everything is so technology driven and technical. Can one survive post COVID-19 without being computer savvy? Absolutely. There's different trades and industries that doesn't require a computer. You know, when you go now, they may take a picture. And the cool thing about it is it all depends on your gift, because your gift could be assisted by someone else's gift. So there may be other people who are tech savvy, but they're dependent on your gift to have a job, you know, like the doctor or the dentist. They work mainly with their hands. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be computer savvy, but you should be computer literate. The only reason for that is, through no fault of your own, the industry is just changing. I know there's some people out there with VCRs. Sorry, no more cassette tapes. You're gonna have to go to some different stores to get it. DVDs are being phased out because everything is online. So I would say just stay up to date. stay literate with what's happening or with what is changing. You don't have to be a savant or you have to be savvy at it, but you should stay up to date to the best of your ability, just so you're not left behind. Good question. Okay. If you guys have any more questions, go ahead and put it on the bottom. Yep, Chandra, I said VCR. Some people still got some VCRs. I seen some people got some 2 box TVs and stuff like that. So yes, I said it. Here's a question. How do I know when it's time to quit my job or even quit an industry altogether? Let me just say this right now. Now's not the time to quit your job. Now's not the time to quit your job. You'll know when it's time to quit your job because the grace will just lift. The grace will just lift. There'll be, and like I told you, frustration is indication of either it's time to move or it's time to develop. So when frustration happens, you either need to grow in your work or you need to go from your work. And when you do, don't just quit. Don't just, I quit, but make a lateral move. Start refining your resume, start putting fillers out there. Some of the best jobs are obtained through referrals, word of mouth. It helps that you know someone within the company. So all of those things really help. So if you're kind of thinking about switching your job, put some phone calls out there, put some fillers out there, find out from your friends or your colleagues that may be in that industry what it is specifically that they need, and start adding that to your wheelhouse so that when you do your resume, you not only have that experience that they may be looking for, but you also have someone in the building that can vouch for you as well. So another question here was, my gift is in the beauty industry, but it feels oversaturated. I feel like I can't compete with all the other influencers out there right now. How can I stand out in a crowded marketplace? One of the ways you stand out in a crowded marketplace is, number one, specialize. Specialize. If everyone is selling shoes, you sell a particular shoe. If everyone is selling for example, if you're selling shoes, sell a size that most likely is not readily available. Specialize, streamline your service, make yourself unique to where that particular service, they got to come to you for it. Because a lot of people want to be jacks of all trades, but master none. Do the opposite. Master one, dominate that one, specialize, streamline in it, and you'll begin to stand out. Another thing you can do is, in that beauty industry, find out what the heavy hitters, those that are really shaking and moving, find out what they're doing and find out the gaps, find out what they're not doing, and then offer yourself to be a liaison or a proxy to do the thing that they're not doing or don't desire to do. And that way they can service or outsource certain work and certain jobs to you. In the mechanic industry, it happens all the time. There's certain mechanics, all they do is work on transmission. So the general mechanic sends that job to them because they know that that is what they specifically work on. Great question. How do you know if you're operating in the wrong gift? Can we sometimes just be making money and be purposeless? Absolutely. There's a lot of people that's not necessarily operating in their gift. They're just on a job. It makes a lot of money. It makes a lot of money. It pays the bills. It allows them to live a very comfortable life, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's their passion or that's what their purpose for. So it's not necessarily operating in the wrong gift. It's just, you're just operating, because once again, a gift is an ability. What you're probably referring to, there's people who have acquired skills because they were told to, or they saw that is lucrative or beneficial, and now they're holding to some skills that they're not passionate about anymore. Case in point, before the recession a decade ago, before the recession, there's some people that was in the corporate space that they went to school for numbers, they got a job on Wall Street, but because of the recession, they had a set of skills that were useless. And a lot of them, some of them went into different industries that was really their passion, but because of the ability to pay bills or get ahead in life and maybe provide security for their families, they acquired a set of skills that just allowed them to function. But because the economy kind of went down, it gave them an opportunity to realize that, oh, I like to cook, so I'm gonna go into cooking. And the good thing is those same skill sets that they learn, they now apply it in their gift, in their area of passion. Great question. Great question. So we're almost done, guys, wrapping this up. Thank you so much for tuning in with us. What we're going to do is we're going to do a second portion, but in order to, what I want to do is I want to like really dive into your specific situation concerning your gift, concerning your talent, concerning your ability. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a webinar. I want to do a webinar where you get to ask questions and we kind of go into that. And the reason that's important is from this webinar, I want to discuss a couple of things. How do you discover your gift? Like, what are some things you can do to hone in, to identify, and to track your gift down? The second thing is, once you discover your gift, how do you refine your gift? Like, I have my gift, but how do I get better at it? How do I get better at it? How do you refine your gift? And then the last is, where and how do you apply your gift? So if you're interested in this webinar, it doesn't cost anything, family. This is free. It doesn't cost anything. I have to go ahead and put that out there right now. This doesn't cost anything. It is my pleasure to add value to you. Listen, more than anything, you would do us all a favor if you become yourself. So any way we can help you become yourself, that's what we are all about. However, we do live in a very professional world, and we need to know who is interested and who is not interested. So the only thing that is required on your end is for you to go register. Go register by sending us an email at info@crownorl.org and put gifts webinar in the subject line, and we'll be able to send you a private link. It doesn't cost anything, but it is a private link, so we can go deeper, so we can deep dive into a set of questions that help you locate your gift. And at the same time, we can talk situations, scenarios to the best of our ability. So if you're interested in that, make sure you send us an email. Our team is capping it off. They don't want it to get too big so that everybody can have an opportunity to ask their questions, present their scenarios. So if you're interested in that, just go ahead and shoot that email right away so we can go ahead and get that information to you. In the meantime, make sure you continue to follow us on social media. If you're not following I Am Duma on social media, you go ahead and do that as well. And if you're not following Crown Church, shame on you. But today's a good day. You can make that right. Hit the subscribe button. If you're on YouTube right now, hit the subscribe button. Every time we go live, you'll get a notification of that. And we don't go live too much so that your notifications are not going off, but they let you know in a very unintrusive way. So you do that. And then same thing with Facebook as well. So family, love you guys. And I pray that you take this time, this quarantine time, to start honing in on what you're good at. Thank you, Carolyn. You're welcome as well. Thank you so much, everyone on here, for the support as well. You need help? Okay, send the email. If you need help, I got you. I got you. Send the email and we'll do a webinar. We're going to have face-to-face time with one another to be able to dive into what your gift is, what your talent is. And that is next week. That's next week. So you got to send that email right away. So we'll go ahead and get you set up for that webinar. Love you guys. I know my wife hasn't been on here. She will be in the coming weeks. I want to throw a shout out to her, let her know I appreciate her for supporting and allowing me. Listen, this is my passion. This is my passion. My passion is to help people discover their purpose and maximize their potential. You guys, You guys, thank you so much for allowing me to do what I love to do. And I can't wait to help you, discover your purpose, maximize your potential. And the only thing I ask of you is once you discover your purpose and you start developing your potential, make a promise to God that you'll devote your life to helping other people become themselves as well. Because in this world full of so much counterfeits, we need more originals in the atmosphere. We need more originals in the environment. And so we can't wait to meet the real you. Okay. Until next time, guys, thank you so much for tuning in on this broadcast. Love you guys. And please stay tuned for all of the latest things that will be coming out of Crown Church. Make sure you tune in. We got a new series on Sunday, got a new series to deal specifically with the time. It's called Stress Free Living. So make sure you tune in. We got a new series for you. It's called Stress Free Living. Tune in. We got some things we want to introduce to that for you as well. So until next time, be blessed. I love you. And remember, at Crown Church, all that we do is for his glory and his glory alone. Be blessed, family. Have a great day.